Part of the issue that we are seeing that we need to discuss is that our country was established with slavery. And when you grow a seed that deep, the roots go even deeper. And that was the problem in our culture. That is what's going on in our culture. Now that seed is rotting. And my biggest fear is that it's only going to get worse with the coming election. I meant it for you guys last night when I sent that email and I said, thank you so much for being a part of this community. Because what we are trying to enact right now, and we're using real estate to enact a movement to address housing insecurity in America. And look at what that mission has brought together. All of us here with a common vision, regardless of where we came from. We all know where we want to go. And it's at this point in our history where we get to control that. We get to have an actual say in where we are going and what we are doing, where we are actually trying to impact change, not just sit on the sidelines. And regardless of how you feel about the riots, or you feel about inequality, or you feel about racism, the fact of the matter is something has broken. It's been broken. It's just now being visible to people who kept their heads in the sand. I have to admit, I've been one of those people. That being said, I was also raised in a biracial family. Can't you tell? My stepfather raised me from the age of 3.5. And when we were in the South, and my mom, my very white mother, was married to my very Native American father, and he worked outside and was dark. And back then in the South, it didn't matter. You were white and everyone else. We were kicked out of restaurants, housing, churches. And I remember being 5 years old and wondering why we were leaving Sunday school. And my mom, trying to explain it to me in a way that a 5-year-old could understand, said that this isn't where Jesus wants us. And that didn't really register until about the second or third church, and we finally found where we could actually be. I witnessed my father, who's an amazing human being, stepdad to be clear. He worked his ass off. My grandmother worked, his mother, worked in the cotton fields, picking cotton, as everyone in his family did, until she got a job in the school system as a cafeteria lady and worked her way up to becoming the head of the entire food program for her school district. She can cook some biscuits now. I only eat her biscuits. They're delicious. That being said, when I left my family and I was on my own, that's when I started to realize that I did have a privilege that my father did not. And regardless of my dad's credit, or regardless of his incredible income, and the fact that I was 18 years old, it didn't matter. He needed me there to get a better rate on buying a car. That's not fair. So, this is going to be a discussion that I want all of us to have and be open to, because it's something that, as a community, we all need to strive to have the same goal. But this isn't going to be just my goal. This is something we all need to come across and do together. If we're going to affect real change in how our country handles housing insecurity, I want us all to be on the same page. I want, with everyone's permission and guidance, I want everyone to agree that this is going to be a safe space where we can ask questions, and I'm probably going to stick my foot in my mouth more than anybody else because I open it the most. But today's not about me. Today's about us as a community, and I want to listen. So for all of you here, I want you to tell me what you're feeling today. I do my best to have a very diverse panel. I try to have women and minorities on Wednesdays, eco-friendly business solutions on Fridays, and Mondays is a mindset day. But today is a day we all have to come together and be brave and courageous for one another. So how are you guys feeling right now?
Well, I feel kind of insecure, I mean, thinking that I thought everything was coming together, and then all of a sudden, this issue happened, last Monday, which is pretty scary, I mean, to see something like that happen to somebody or to anybody. Hopefully, we'll come together, as a team, and get it resolved. It is scary though. I mean, 'cause you never know what's going to happen next. I think things were moving forward. Everything looked positive. And then all of a sudden, it just, you just get, somebody knocks you, you know. It's pretty scary.
What has been the most insightful thing that you've noticed, Carlos, for yourself and how we are addressing racism here in our country this past week?
I don't know. I think there's a, for some reason, it's, I mean, we should all come together. Everybody's, it's, we all came from God, that's what I believe, and I believe in God. And I think we should all be unified and stick up for each other. But I feel like there's people out there that are just angry for no reason. I think they just do it just to do, I mean, they just, for whatever reason, it just seems to me that, I mean, there's a right way to do things, there's a right way to protest, and get a point of view. That's how I feel. To be like destructive, to burn down churches, to burn down like, somebody's, is trying to, have a, open up a bar, and put all their savings into it. And it's like totally like destroyed, demolished. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, you don't need that. I think people are just doing it just to do. At times I just don't feel like they have a reason. They just do, just to be evil. I mean, there's some evil people in this world. I mean, there's some beautiful people in this world, but there are evil people. I mean, evil, evil, evil. I just, and I can't understand that. I mean, it's been like that for history, history. So, I don't know. I mean,
it's interesting that you say that, and I agree. I do feel that there's been a lot of needless hurt. At the same time, I was in preparation for this call, I came across a quote from the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And his quote is, a riot is the language of the unheard. And when I heard that, it made me think, yeah, there's been a lot of vandalism, there's been a lot of looting. There's also been a lot of murder. There's been a lot of pain. And I know that when I lose my temper, I want to punch a wall. So if you have hundreds of years of this, maybe this is what it takes to finally get this conversation started, because we haven't had this before.
Oh, yes, we have.
My generation is younger in this.
I was a child when Watts happened, and I remember it.
So what's different now than then? Like what?
That's the sad part. It's the same.
Okay.
And it's 100 years, 99 years to the day from 99 years to the day from Tulsa, where they the whites wiped out a whole city, a vibrant, thriving. They had like a cathedral. I mean, it was disgusting what they did, and it wasn't called for. It was one of these, whites saying something happened that didn't happen. And unfortunately, it has to come from the top. We're not going to see it. right now. And what scares me more is that when you can pick someone out by color of their skin, that's the first thing that happens. The second thing is by their sexual orientation. And the third is by their religious beliefs. And along with that goes the intelligentsia and the artists and all that. So you have to be careful to know if this is just the beginning or if this is really what's going on.
So
Because
that's a great point that you just said right there. You said so many. With what we have, there are some books I want you guys to read, and I'm actually going to type them in the chat box, also on Facebook. One of them is called The Creature from Jekyll Island. Another one's called The Road to Ruin. Another one's called Aftermath. There are a few others I'll put on there, but all these were books that dissected historical data and cycles that talked about our economy and our history and trends that were being seen. These books also all mention a biochemical warfare or global pandemic, all right? It mentioned that, it mentioned class riots, and it mentioned racial tensions. It talks about the fact that the United States is in the latter part of the 6 stages of the 7 stages of a declining economy. And now
of a declining, I'm sorry, but of a declining democracy.
Yes, well,
I think more than it's just an economy. We're
yeah.
not sure we can hold a democracy.
The 7, and this stage is actually called division. Guys, it's very clear to see. And I was talking with my coach about this because it's a big thing that we have to understand, is that we're not going back to the life that we had pre-COVID. And frankly, I don't want to. It wasn't good enough. What we were coming from wasn't good enough. I wasn't good enough. None of us were good enough. And there's no winner in this. No one's going to come out ahead. No one can come out ahead. So you have to understand that there's going to be sacrifice, there's going to be loss. Some of it we can control. We have to lose our egos. We have to lose our entitlement. We have to lose the belief that we think we already know it all, that we know that person's argument, that we've already heard it before. That you should try telling it to me like this because I know better. Because I don't know better. Marlon, I don't know your background. I can't. Leanne, I can't know your background. I want to know these things. And I want to shut up so you can tell me more. So please, tell me how I can help and how I can be better.
I just wanted to say something that you mentioned when you were referring to Dr. King's quote. It's also, I think, even more resonant that you're saying that you're having this discussion today, June 1st, day 1 of Pride Month, which Pride Month Pride started, like Stonewall was a riot. It was a riot. It wasn't a protest. It was a riot, and it was on, and the opportunities that we've started to see for people within your community, Jacob, right? The LGBTQ community and others who also identify that way. Those were on the backs of Black trans women.
Yeah.
And I think that's even more it's more resonant to exemplify, like to uplift that message even more. Like, it's not because they weren't trying to be riotous to be riotous. It's just they had no other option, and they felt that they had no other way to speak, which is exactly what Dr. King said, in the mid 60s when he said that speech. The riot is the voice of the unheard.
It's very true. It's something that I actually had a message on today when I posted something about. I thought it was beautiful how the Flint, I believe it was Flint, but Michigan had a sheriff that decided to walk with the protesters and said, "We're here because you do have a voice. We'd rather turn this into a parade in a protest, and we want to walk with you. And they were hugging each other, and it was such a beautiful moment. I thought that was so poignant. And then I had one person comment saying, it's a shame he felt he had to make it about himself. And I understand where he's going, but he was saying, he said it's a shame he felt he had to make it a parade. And I'm like, the fact that he can turn it into a parade says that little town, that area has come further than the others who have not been able to. Because they were able to stand together and they said enough is enough, that means they've actually come further. Because Stonewall, which most people don't know about,
I didn't know about
they don't know about it. It was when drag queens and leather daddies, when we couldn't even have a bar, that we were being, the bars are being raided by the cops, and they were being drowned in buckets of urine. And that's when the riots said enough. If you leave well enough alone, people have no reason to complain. But this is what happens, right? So a riot is disruptive. It is inconvenient. And it's not like the Black community has not been trying to get our attention. Kneeling at football games, wearing shirts that say I can't breathe. Every time we have a riot, going to public rallies and letting them be known. They tried doing it peacefully and we didn't hear them. So yeah, there are going to be riots. How else are they going to get the attention? I don't condone it. Please know I don't condone it. But I also don't condone the fact that we have turned a blind eye for so long that I had to turn to this.
Also, the foundation of our nation started based on a riot. The Boston Tea Party is not as romanticized as we've been educated in our public school systems to believe it was. It was a riot. It was a raid because they had been attempting for years, petitioning their king to give them a voice. Again, they're saying, well, you're not going to listen. Well, I'm not going to listen to you either. And they destroy the king's property, the king's money, because that's what made him realize, oh crap, my money's suffering. So now I understand. Like, that's what, I mean, he didn't understand. Obviously we went to war, but it was ultimately what made him say, we need to get these people back in line.
Yes, I agree. And Michael, you're right. There is a big difference between protesters and rioters. The thing that I want to make sure that I've been seeing is that there have been more, now I'm not seeing everything, but I've seen plenty of pictures of white people doing the damage. And that's where I have a problem, because when I hear people say, those people rioting, that in its own is where I'm having a problem. That is racist. That's not okay.
If I can interject, Jacob.
Anybody's life. Like, I wouldn't want to damage anyone's home or property. I don't find that right at all. But I think that everyone needs to recognize that everyone here is losing and no one is acting correctly. But that's because but there is a message that's got to be heard. Whoopi Goldberg, by the way, I don't know if you guys follow her on Instagram. She had the most amazing little vent yesterday, and she was saying, what's the end game here? What's the end game with all of this? And it's so touching. I hope you guys go and watch it, but Whoopi Goldberg just had it was so well said. It really was. Michael, I wasn't trying to cut you off. Go ahead, what were you gonna say?
No, I agree with you, Jacob. There's a big difference, and I sympathize with the movement of the African community of what they're trying to accomplish. But I do not, the rioting, the destruction of property and the destruction of lives and other people's lives that are being destroyed, it ain't fucking right. My area was burned down last night. Like I spent last night going between my flip and here and helping friends potentially secure their businesses, you know, because it's going crazy. I don't think it's right what happened. And I get that the voice isn't heard like it is, but you can't burn down a whole fucking city and kill people. I'm seeing store owners getting beat to death because people are destroying their business and they want to have a voice saying, please, you know, get out of my business, and they're getting beat to death. It's uncalled for. And I get what you're saying with the white protesters who are destroying it, but I think that's a whole nother animal, because that's the whole Antifa bullshit stuff that's going on, in my opinion, and they're funded by bigger groups. You know, I don't watch the CNN and the Fox and the media that everybody watches. Dig a little deeper. There's other hands at work that are funding these people. Why are pallets of bricks getting delivered to street corners when there's no job sites around for protesters to throw? Seeing videos the other night of people driving around with vans handing out bats and hammers and crowbars to young people so they can riot harder. There's a lot bigger things at play here than just this. And once again, I do sympathize. I want this to end. I want people to have. I want Africans. I want everybody to have a voice and be treated equally. I don't want that to be taken the wrong way, that I don't care. But there's something needs to be done. It needs to be done peacefully.
I agree. I don't think that any more death is the answer. But the question is, what is? And I don't know. But I had this idea of when I knew that we were coming on today, and my guest had rescheduled to Wednesday. I was like, okay, I know what I can do. I want to talk about the things that real estate does provide for people, and then, you know, the different movements that have come through the latest tax reform, and all that stuff's there. And yes, we can have those conversations, but I think that today it's not the time. I want there to be more of a sense where we can grow together. And I agree with you, Michael. But I also don't know the answer. Marlon, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. You know, it's all definitely, it's a lot. I could share where I come from, and I don't know if it's what it's worth, but I know growing up Black, I've always tried to be on my best behavior. Absolutely. I mean, I think anyone that's interacted with me sees that I try and make people feel comfortable, and I genuinely care about everybody. And no matter what, I always still had to represent my entire culture just because it's my skin color. And that wasn't quite the case for my white counterparts when I grew up. I noticed that they never had to think twice about their actions. Their actions belonged to just themselves, versus if I did something, it belonged to the entire community, which I always personally hated. You know, like, I think every single person, like Michael's saying, like, it's an individual thing. It's each person should be held accountable to their own actions. So I always struggle with trying to, like, find that line, you know, representing myself and representing the community. And it's a role that gets forced on every individual, at least from my perspective, every minority, every person of color, every person that is out of line, at least in this country. And I don't like it. I personally don't like it at all. I don't know what the solution is. I've always figured the solution I put my head down to rest at night each day is be the best person that you can possibly be. That's the best solution I've ever been able to come up with, is if we each continue to be the best version of ourselves, it then gives permission to the next person to do the same. And if everybody does this, it's a slow build, but it's a build that spreads like a wildfire. And the system itself needs to change, but ultimately it's up to us as the individuals. At the end of the day, the system is ran by us. You know, the system is nothing without the people inside of it. So I ultimately believe it's up to us to change the people, and the people change how the system is ran. I don't know if that's worth anything, but that's what comes to me.
When I was talking to my coach earlier today, Eva, a Black female, I was telling her that I purposely have gone out to try to find coaches whose perspectives are different than mine. One of them is actually going to come on next week, Marcus Ogden. He was an NFL linebacker. I think that's the term. I don't know. I don't really follow hockey all that often, but he is. He's going to come on, but I really do try to get their perspectives on certain things. And regardless, I remember standing next to him in 2017 at the Hall of Fame ceremony, and the national anthem came on, and I saw his struggle. I didn't even know him that well yet. I wasn't even the MC. I saw his struggle trying to fight the urge to kneel, and how he felt like he was selling out because it wasn't a football game. It was an investor conference. And I wanted to kneel with him if he had done it. It was something that was very strange, but I was also scared of losing my job. And then I remember thinking, how sad is it that my patriotic act of civil disobedience could cost me my job, and it's something as simple as kneeling. And not even my job. I knew that the other people around me would have looked down on me. How do you guys feel when you see someone kneeling during a national anthem now?
Jacob, I find it beautiful, actually, because I don't think people in today's society understand what kneeling on one knee means. And that's a problem. That's something we lost. I mean, in medieval times, when you gave your pledge, your oath to a king, you got down on a knee. So, and when you ask for a woman's hand in marriage, you take a knee, right? So it's not in a negative way. It's just being different, and on top of which, this is a song. I know it's our anthem, but it's not the pledge. Everyone makes a big deal, and I know you're supposed to put your hand on your heart. I never felt comfortable doing that except during a pledge. It's a song. You stand erect, or you're respectful. And I think taking a knee is one of the most respectful ways to show that it's a problem.
I actually found it very patriotic myself.
Yeah.
Well, anybody else? Hello.
Trying to oh, hi there. Yeah, with the kneeling, it's come back. Yeah, actually a lot of things have come really full circle to me with everything. It all kind of hit me when there were the protesters that were protesting staying indoors because of COVID, and they had these AK-47s, and they were meeting in large groups. And yes, they were white, and it just seems like a person of color could not do that, like on near the White House, or anywhere without, even just having a firearm on their back, it would just not be good. And the knee thing, it was peaceful, and it was, there wasn't anything violent about it, but people were saying that the football players were spoiled, and that what they were doing was wrong.
And unpatriotic. It's amazing what happens when you're on the other side of it, isn't it?
Can I interject on the guns carried by whites to capitals?
Sure.
You're only getting that from one news media source. I'm very big into gun culture and the military culture. There's actually a lot of African Americans at them rallies. They're just not focused on, because the news organizations label all them people as white supremacist Trump supporters. So you're only going to see what fits the narrative. There's patriots of every color that stick up for these things, and there are African American groups, just like there are white groups, that are strictly gun culture that do fight for rights. Paul Noor, he's big. The NRA is one of their big speakers. He's a fella. There's many people like him, but you don't see them because it doesn't fit the narrative that the media wants you to see, to divide all the races. Divide and conquer. Together we win. You divide us, you conquer us.
That's actually one thing that I was really happy about when I was talking earlier, is that there is such a variety that has embarked on this journey that we're doing, especially with Real Estate Survivor, where we're all trying to when we're all trying to move forward and do deals together, build each other's businesses up, support each other. We have white, black, transgender, gay, straight, bi, tie, carrot, I don't care. But we have this beautiful rainbow of everyone coming together, which is where I find hope. The fact that we can stand together and we do want everyone to succeed. And I don't know at what point that gets diluted. When does it get so big that it's no longer about the good of all, and it goes back to being the good of a few? Do you guys have any feedback on that?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I think it's tough because things seem to go in these cycles where we move away from the original things that brought us together. We're seeing what happened when we built a system so large that so many people were being neglected. And although on the surface it may have seemed like everything was all right, and the minority of people were not benefiting, but the majority of the people were being taken care of, we're so large that we see how many people that minority actually is. It's still a lot of people. And a lot of people, like you said earlier, a lot of people are hurting. A lot of people are angry. I agree with all of you. I don't think the riots are the right move, but thinking about what is it that got them to this point? Why are they so angry? Why is the rioting going on so much? Why are so many people jumping into it and jumping on the bandwagon and joining in? How much stuff is built up to lead us to this point, and what can we do going forward so that we don't have this problem again? Pamela is saying that the fact that this isn't the first time that we're seeing this, that's the exact same situation. It's just dressed in a new package. Why haven't we solved this problem yet? So like you, Jacob, I don't know what the answer is. I genuinely struggle to figure out what that answer is. And like that alone is like something that used to keep me up late at night all the time, trying to figure out how to solve these sort of problems. And I would drive myself insane. Absolutely mental, trying to figure out the solution.
I'm going to say something that I don't know how many people know, and probably not going to be liked by some. But my religious background is I'm Jewish, and I married a child of two survivors from the camps, and they went to Israel to immigrate, and then they immigrated here. But I was always aware in the 70s. Of course, Israel became a nation in 48, and I'm bringing this up because a lot of people don't understand where all these terrorists came from from the Middle East. It was planned, and it was planned back in 48 when Israel rightfully, wrongfully, I'm not going into that political because I'm not one that says we should vote a certain way because we vote for Israel. It's the only democracy in the Middle East. That's why I look at Israel. But Israel let the Arabs stay. A lot of them went because they didn't want to. They spoke the language of the countries around them, and they could have been easily assimilated into many countries, especially Jordan and Lebanon. Instead, the leaders chose to put them in camps. Oh, is that like a ghetto, And they left them there, angry, uneducated, low on food. This is how you make people angry. This is how you breed hatred, because it was always Israel's fault that this happened. The Arab governments weren't planning for anything to happen immediately. This was a generational situation. They knew it would take time, and eventually what's going on would go on. And unfortunately, This is the same thing happening in our own country with, quote, people who are minorities, who are not going to be minorities for very long. They are going, the white population, the Caucasian population is going to be numerically the minority within the next 50 years. That's just a reality of who's in the country. So now you got to realize you got a lot of scared people out there that they're afraid they're going to lose power. That's why they're voting for the people that they're voting for. And they want to still oppress. You know, we should be sending more money into the areas that have, you know, better schooling to lower income areas, because then they would have knowledge and they would be able to move on in society. But instead we choose not to do that. We say there's not enough tax dollars. Appalachia is another one, and that's white.
So since you have that, you made a beautiful segue without even knowing it. I'm going to, there's something that most people don't know. And like I strive to stay away from being political on my talks, because what I found, because I took the initiative to become more autonomous, to become more accountable to myself, and to learn about financial education, I know that no matter who is in office, I'll be able to adapt. So I have been poor in both a Republican and a Democratic presidency, and I will be wealthy in a Republican and a Democratic presidency. I don't, frankly, give a damn who's in office. I will adapt. But that being said, some cards are easier to play in certain games than other cards. So, something that did happen in the 2017 Tax Cut and Job Creation Act was the creation of what's called the Economic Opportunity Zones. Economic Opportunity Zones are a way to get private investors to invest in low-income areas, roughly 25% of all the low-income areas in the United States. They were selected street by street by the mayors and governors of those cities and towns and states so that they could actually grow that population and do exactly that, Pamela, improve their school systems, create jobs, create opportunities there. How they are incentivizing private investors to go into these areas is they are offering them tax breaks in the form of capital gain deferral and ultimately abatement. So, for example, if you have $100,000 worth in Apple stock and you cash out, you'd have to pay capital gains on that profit. Follow me so far? But if you took those gains and you put them into an opportunity zone, you hold those properties for at least 10 years, you will have to pay no capital gains. None. Now, what happens in an economy after 10 years? Well, historically, property values double every 10 years. So if you are holding an asset of $100,000 now, 10 years from now, it'll be worth $200,000 that you still don't have to pay capital gains on. Now, this comes in a couple different ways. One, it comes in a few different forms. If you hold it for 5 years, you get a tax break of, I believe it's 15%. If you hold it for 7 years, it's an additional 5%. If you hold it for all 10, you pay no capital gains. Now, that does not mean you get to go and just do whatever you want in these areas, all right? These private investors are investing in communities to help them grow. So if you're doing a single family home, you have to buy the home and put nearly the same amount of money into repairing the home and maintaining that home. So a $50,000 home, you got to put almost $50,000 into building it up and supporting it. If you bought a commercial building, you cannot do, they call them industries of vice. So no strip clubs, no, excuse me one second. no strip clubs, no liquor stores, no things that are areas of vice. They have to be providing jobs and actually not create addiction or any other problems to that community. If you take a downtrodden community and you put a liquor store in there, are you helping that community or are you helping contribute to the poverty? Well, there you go. But if you go into a commercial strip center, you put in a dry cleaner, you put in a small grocery store, you put in a nail salon, well, now you're providing businesses and you're providing services for that community that now raise that community up. And this is the problem I'm seeing, and I think we all see, with gentrification. Now, those of you who know me, you know I've talked about a couple of TV shows that I love because I think they're great resources. I don't watch a lot of TV, but when I do, I try to educate myself. One of them is from Apple TV, and it's called Home, all right? Episode 2 is about this amazing man in the south side of Chicago who's an artist, as well as a professor, as well as a city planner. He's just one of those like savants. You know, whatever he touches, he does beautiful things with. And he got sick of seeing his neighborhood being torn down and built back up because they were literally tearing down their history. They were erasing their culture. So he started to buy property for very cheap down in his area. And he started building it back up, retaining the character and the architecture, keeping the story, and then making them destinations. He turned his first house into a music room where he had this incredible collection of jazz and other records from Black artists donated to him. So people, it's called the listening room rather. So people can come from all over to the listening room and listen to a chronological history of Black music in a predominantly Black neighborhood. He did the same thing to the house next door that he turned into the cinema room, featuring Black artists so that they have a place to show their work and be showcased. Taking an old bank and converting that into a community space for the Black community in his neighborhood. He didn't re-gentrify to erase his history. He did it to embrace his history, to solidify it, to further that vision, to say, we are here. And I may not be a Black male, but let me tell you, when I watched that vision, it gave me chills to see that he was investing with a purpose and a mission and a heart. And it is a beautiful thing. And that's what a lot of us can do with real estate that we are trying to get accomplished together. We are trying to do something bigger than ourselves to change this narrative. So whether we invest in economic opportunity zones or we are investing in our own backyard, remember where you come from and make sure you put your thumbprint on it. And if you don't know that area, ask for help. What do you guys, okay, you guys take me into something. Wow, did you guys know about economic opportunity zones? What do you think of that strategy? What questions do you have?
Hey, so after our conversation this morning, I started looking into economic opportunity zones and doing the research, and it was actually pretty mind-blowing to see just how there are these sort of government programs that are out there to, in fact, build up the communities. And personally, I had absolutely no clue it even existed. And the more I started reading into it, I was like, oh my God, why don't more of us know about this? Right now, they're funding more than 8,000 different areas, 8,760 areas that are on their map, that are zones that they have said, if you go inside here and you work to fix the neighborhoods up, they will work with you by supplying financing anywhere from 50 to 80% of the actual cost of the project. So it's not even just the cost of the property, it's the entire project. They will fund anywhere from 50 to 80% of it. So that was just mind-blowing to see. And if you look at what it's actually aimed to do, you know, we talk about these systems. This is clearly a system that is in place to build up the community. You know, it's open to nonprofits. They want to see that it's not just these giant corporate entities coming in to monopolize and take advantage of a bad situation. They want to see that someone's going to come, repair the community, and create jobs, create growth, see it go in a positive direction. You would be working side by side with your local government. And this really will help to ultimately bring people together and to grow them in the positive direction. So they even, one of my favorite things as I was reading through it, the EDA, they made a metaphor saying that if you were to utilize this system, they want investors to look at it as another arrow in their quiver, another tool on your tool belt to help repair the community. And it, like, just that wording alone showed me, wow, they're serious about this. This is really put in place to do better. So it's a matter of bringing it to the forefront, letting people know that it exists and tapping into this sort of resource. So thank you, Jacob, for bringing that up and for even bringing it to my attention.
It's my pleasure. They're quite amazing, and it's only for a finite time. This is not going to go on indefinitely. It started in 2017, really started getting much more fleshed out 2018, but it's supposed to be done by 2026.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the investment opportunity of our lifetime. Now, when is it appropriate for us to go into that? Well, frankly, as soon as we can. But this definitely a portfolio strategy. And what we're trying to build here with our community is that credibility so we can actually go and affect this change in these areas. Now, I've gone to look at a couple opportunity zones in my area. If you're familiar with South Florida, parts of Riviera Beach are an opportunity zone. Parts of Hokie are an opportunity zone. These are areas that have some serious problems. Lots of crime. You're getting in dirty, right? So it's not something you want to go in without educating yourself, but at least you know it's there. And I do think that more people should be it is actually being, people who have money know about this. Imagine that. People who have money know about this, but Marlon did not. No one told his community. That being said, now you know. So what are some other things that we can do as people to help this conversation and affect more change? What questions do you have and what suggestions do you have?
I think people need to actually talk about money. A lot of families, I think, shy away from it because maybe they're not educated on it.
I agree.
I've also read The Creature of Jekyll Island. Just mind-blowing book, incredible. It's long, sure, but it's mind-blowing. And I think if maybe more people are able to get educated, or if we were able to teach more people about some financial topics, that'll be for the better of society as a whole. I've started posting, I know a little bit about stocks and that kind of industry. So I've been starting to post, a chart every day, just a stock chart, and have just a little basic kind of intro to it, what I see on it. And hoping to grow that. Maybe some people in my network can learn from that, and then I can expand it and talk more about the financial aspects I know about. People just need to talk about money, I think, and it needs to be more education, I think, on it.
That's why I think it's so interesting is when I started learning about money, so many different opportunities opened up for me, even though I was a gay male. I'm still not part of the Good Old Boys Club. And frankly, my club's a lot more fun. We have better parties. But I also want to make sure that I give myself a fighting chance. And having these financial conversations is a big deal for everybody. I think that's important. Bye, Nelson. We'll see you soon. Leslie, how are you feeling with everything today? It's been a lot.
Yes, it is a lot. I come from a little bit of a different background background. My parents are are educated. The first of their families to be educated, but they both have advanced degrees in college. And I was always, oh my God, I was always instructed. I never really was told in depthly about how um, I was going to be seen in the world. They kind of left it up to me to figure it out when it ever happened to me. So, I mean, they knew it was going to happen, just like every African American child. You know, as a parent, that there is a point in their life as they're growing up, and you hope it's not when they're a child. But there's a point in their life where they are going to be faced with um, someone that does not like them because of their skin color. And so it's up to you to try to teach them how to handle that situation. So my parents never really gave me an aggressive way of handling it. They spoke to me about, perhaps why it may be happening, or perhaps my reaction shouldn't always be so aggressive back, that perhaps maybe I could talk to the person, or I could, you know, um, reason with them, or some kind of way make them understand that it's not necessarily not to have these feelings against me, because really I'm the same as you. I'm just I just look different, you know. But yeah, it's pretty damaging, and it just depends on, we all know that it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. I mean, that probably doesn't, some of you may not be aware of that, but every African American person knows, I'm sure Marlon can attest to it, that there's just, you're just waiting. I mean, you're not sitting there waiting, but you know it's going to happen. And I've had, as I sit here, I've had, I'm an older person, so I've had many situations where things like that have occurred. Some have ended positively, some have ended negatively. So I can understand some of the reasons why people, it's almost like that aggression, that anger, it's just so emotional. And some people cannot get out of the emotion. They don't have the words to say. They don't think anyone's listening, you know, because the same conversation has been going on for years. And I'm not really sure that anybody's heard it either. Maybe some have. Not everybody's the same, and that is for sure. But it's the ones that maybe have that doubt, that you know, every Black person, when they're in a situation that could go positive or negative, you always think, or it passes your mind, that the person that's looking at you is gonna have an opinion because of who you are. So yeah, that's not a very good feeling to carry with you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year. It's just something that we know.
That was so well said. I could listen to you every day. You have a great voice. Can you do this more often? Right now, what I see in our country is that we have market corrections. The real estate market's correcting, the stock market's correcting, and now our social consciousness is correcting. All of these markets have been divorced from reality for so long. And now we're in a place where we can actually out racism and out stupidity. We can actually say, okay, when you say this, that's not okay anymore. You gotta knock it off. Just because our grandparents are older and say, well, they're not here much longer, that's not okay. No, we have to be brave for them as well, because they are still in this world and they could get hurt, because they're not saying the right things. I think that outing racism and outing limiting beliefs, whatever those beliefs are, is actually a civic duty that we all need to uphold. And I am not obviously an African American woman. I'm not a Black woman, so I can't relate to everything you said, Leslie. Where'd you go? Where are you at, Leslie? Oh well, I probably just moved on my screen. But I do know what it's like to feel judged on a daily basis. I'm what you call an obvious gay, like it kind of just falls out of my mouth. So I've always had a little bit of a problem with that. So I understand how that goes. I am just so sorry that it's been going on so long. And I'm glad we're all having this conversation today. How are you doing today, Angela? Surprise! Unmute yourself, honey. There you are.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I kind of agree with Leslie. A lot of things she said. It's just the stuff that's going on with all this racial tension. If people would just love more, Jason. I think it's the cure to this. It doesn't matter what race you are or the color of your skin. We are all human, but the number one thing in order for a change to take effect, we have to be that change. And it starts with each and every one of us controlling what we can control to make a change, because this has been going on. This is not new. This has been going on for a while. And some places it's been like on low key, but it's always been there. So I'm glad you brought this up, Jason, because it is a problem. I mean, Jacob, I'm sorry, I call you Jason.
Okay, I get it all the time.
But it's a huge problem, and we need to start somewhere. And by you just talking about it in this setting, and if we can bring about a change in where we are, that's a start.
I agree.
Thank you for letting me have words. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Why that hit me? That was, okay. You're visible, honey. Thank you. Joseph, you'd like to add something on the topic of judgment? Please join us.
Hello, this is Joseph. I'm Melissa's husband. And also, Angela, that was beautiful. I couldn't agree more. That's in part what I wanted to add on. Regarding what Leslie John said, I am considered white, right? I look it. I've been told I look all the different kinds of stuff. Sometimes I look Hispanic. Sometimes I look half Asian, I've been told. It's crazy. I am an American mutt. I've been told I look all the different kinds of stuff. And, well, I grew up with my mother until I was 9, and we lived off the welfare system. And we lived all around the Puget Sound here in Washington, including downtown Seattle, SeaTac, Federal Way. And finally, she moved out to a more affordable area in Silverdale, which is on the peninsula. And kind of everywhere you go in the poorer neighborhoods, you kind of have to keep your head down as a white person, especially a guy. People do not like you, and there's a lot of judgment that's passed there. I'm very fortunate because I was able to get out of that situation and not engage the way some of the other people I knew did. There were lots of white people there, don't get me wrong. But it's really hard to avoid drugs and gangs in those types of environments. And pretty much everything Leslie said could apply to, I personally think, every human being who was ever born. You take out the race and people pass judgment, especially now. I've been reading, and Melissa's father was kind enough to give me some books for Christmas, and I read those, and they're awesome. One is The Iceman, it's just a story about Wim Hof, and another one was called The Modern Viking, and that one was really profound for me because growing up raised by my mother and not having a lot of male role models. My dad worked all the time, so even when I went over to visit, he was hardly there. It's been a journey of sort of reclaiming masculinity, because masculinity is something that is not looked well upon when it's something that belongs to a white man. It's encouraged in seemingly everyone else, but it's very important to me. There's a lot of hate towards masculine white men, or men who like women, it feels like. I could be wrong. There's a lot of acceptance for it, but there's a lot of vocal hate as well. And I feel like we really should focus more on what we can do to create a positive narrative. I think we've been highlighting the negative narrative so long that it's just boiling up in people. They see the negative everywhere now, but it's like the reclamation projects. People don't hear about that because that's positive. And I just feel like focusing on the positive is going to heal the soul. That's about. I don't want to take up too much more of your time there. Thank you.
You have a voice. This is what this is for. And you're right. How you speak, it has a big power. And it's more than people think. And I actually wrote down here that, where did I put that note about speaking? Yes. Talking about, I was talking to my coach, Eva, and how she found herself being racist against her own kind. And she was correcting the fact that I'm always hard on myself. And I also, say like, ugh, he's so gay. And I would say it like in a joking, but a negative fashion, just the same way that, you have done it too. But let me tell you, I have to get over the help. You can do your own race and gay bashing, whatever it has to be. You got to watch that about yourself too. Even if you think it's funny amongst your own circle, it's those words are how you see the world it's reaffirming how you subconsciously see the world and how it's seeing you, and you want to change that. And you did mention something very interesting there, Joseph. And Nelson, I'll have you in just a second. But it's interesting because you talked, what I'm really getting from what you're saying, and this is what Creature from Jekyll Island, Aftermath, all the books are talking about. The next big war isn't going to be based on race. It's going to be based on class. The haves and the have-nots. The poor and the wealthy. Anita is one of, Anita, are you there? Oh, hi, honey. Good. And Nelson, I'll have you go in just a second. So I know you've read Creature from Jekyll Island and a lot of the books that we've had these conversations before. What's your take on what's going on right now?
It really just kind of hurts my heart in a lot of different ways. For one, most people look at me and they just think that I'm a white girl, and they throw the white privilege and this, that, and the other out. But I'm actually Pacific, excuse me, I'm actually Pacific Islander. That's my heritage, right? I've been discriminated against before, and I know it doesn't feel good. And my heart bleeds. When I watched that video, it literally just made the hair on my arms stood up, brought tears to my eyes. I just don't know why humanity just can't love each other. I just don't. I cannot comprehend why people get so overran by their negative emotions, regardless of what your skin color is. I just don't understand why people can't use logic and they get so overrun by all these negative emotions that they cannot just be humans, that they can't just love one another. Hate does nothing but divide, you know, and I can't help but say, knowing what I know, having read and studied The Creature from Jekyll Island, having had dinner with G. Edward Griffin, having been around a lot of different influencers who study things at a whole nother level than what we tend to think of it as, I think that there's a whole nother layer to what is unfolding in front of us. And for the average person, it's hard for them to see it, because a lot of this is driven that you think about the news media, they don't show what is going on good in the world, they only show the bad, right? They don't show what's going on good in the world, they only show the bad. They get people so negatively in charge with their emotions that when something like this happens, and heaven forbid, I hope the justice system does its job in the case of this gentleman that has lost his life. I hope that justice is served in that respect. But it's one of those things. It's like, can we all just agree to love one another and treat each other with respect and be human beings, instead of being, well, I'm from this race and that race and that race. We all, we're all have different backgrounds. We all have different upbringings. But whenever it comes down to it, can we just respect each other? Can we just respect each other and encourage each other and just love each other? That is, I believe that's what humanity is meant to be. And it would just, I know it's a utopian thing to think about. If the world was like that, then there would be no wars, and there would be no this, and there would be no that. But the thing is can we not strive for it? Can we not strive for it? But it just hurts my heart to see what's going on in our country right now. It's just, to me, it's just so uncalled for from all angles. It just hurts.
It's true. I don't think, it's funny you say that, because I don't think it's in human nature to get along. We were clans that battled against each other, dominated, raped, and pillaged. And each and every one of us are a byproduct of that. That is so ingrained into our evolution.
I do agree. I agree. Survival is ingrained into our evolution. But the thing is you did say one point, Jacob. You said evolution. If we're meant to evolve and we're going to be a better people and we're going to be overcomers, then we got to start moving towards being a humanity and not being different classes, not being different, looking at people because of the neighborhood they come from or the color of their skin. We got to evolve to a point that is something of the past. So I think we have to acknowledge it, because if we don't acknowledge, hey, bad things happened in the past, these are things that humanity went through to get to the point that they're at. If you don't look at your history, then you will repeat it. Mm-hmm. And I think we've seen that over and over again. And it just, but I think that we do, as a society, we need to evolve into a better humanity.
It's interesting because this weekend, speaking of evolving to better humanity, we saw history being made with the space launch with SpaceX. That was incredible. I actually went to go see it. In the middle of COVID, yes, I took a calculated risk and exposed myself to watch history being made, because that's what I was comfortable with. And so, and I don't regret it. It was absolutely amazing to watch. And I remember watching the rocket go up, thinking, is the way for us to become a better race going to require us to leave this planet? So, don't know. But, now that Mr. Floyd has passed, I'm glad people are actually talking, but he's just one of so many. Nelson, you wanted to mention something about judgment.
Yeah, I was going to start off with that context, but to piggyback on Anita's point, how everyone's hurting from different angles, I think my voice is already cracking. it gets a little hard to be in my shoes, and I didn't realize like I just don't talk about it. I just don't have anybody I can actually talk, so I felt this space is appropriate. So my partner is a police officer in the San Francisco Police Department, and he's been there for 12 years now. And anytime this has happened, you don't get, I know for me, I don't get used to being scared. I lose sleep. I just, over the years, I've gotten really good at compartmentalizing it. So anytime that you see me looking down at my cell phone, texting him, asking them if he's okay. A lot of times when you see whatever happens in San Francisco or in San Jose or in Oakland, a lot of it can be true. These areas are really violent, because at night, he's like, last night he was sitting next to me, and he has access to listening to calls and news reports. You could hear helicopters, you could hear a lot of the violence and a lot of looting and the rioting, and even some protesters, looters, rioters. I forgot what the word is, but they would have like they would put towels that are flammable inside glass and then throw it at cops, not only at buildings. So every day during situations like this, my stress level is really high. And I've been dealing with, for the past 24 hours, a lot of text messages from very wonderful friends and family, just asking how we're doing. But of course, they're through like Messenger or their text. I'm not gonna explain everything that's going on in a single message. It's hard. It's hard. I don't have all the answers. But every day, like, I pray that he comes back. And so instances like this, you just don't really get used to. And when Anita said that it has a ripple effect for people feeling hurt, it definitely does, from all sides, and even from people, loved ones and their families, and people who have nothing to do with the violence. We're generally scared. And oftentimes we can't even find each other to reach out to each other for support. We end up feeling alone. So I know for me, I've been bottling that up for like our entire relationship when he said he wanted to be a cop. And of course I was supportive, but there's a dangerous side to it also. He taught me early on that for someone in a relationship or even a family member of someone who is in law enforcement, that I have to be careful for even letting people know that I have any ties to someone in law enforcement. Because if he comes across, and has happened, he's come across someone who he's arrested or someone has a vendetta against law enforcement, that they won't necessarily go and hunt that police officer down. They'll go after the family. So I have to be really, we live in San Jose, which is about an hour south of San Francisco. And he said, even here, I have to be careful letting people know I can't wear any blue stripes or anything and tell people that I'm dating a cop, just that puts me in danger. So you're right. Everyone hurts, even people that you wouldn't think has any ties to the situation. We're hurting too.
Thank you for sharing.
Chelsea, I want to say thank you for being brave enough to share here with us, to feel safe enough in this space. I think we all have a responsibility to each other to listen, and I'm so asked and to listen both. I'm so grateful for everybody who shared today, everyone who's continuing to share, because every single voice that we can hear makes a difference. And being able to join together in a community like this, I think is so important right now, because as we have to understand the responsibility that we have, because we have tools that lots of people don't have. You know, we talk about the economic benefit of gentrification, you know, of even the personal benefits too, and our businesses going into these opportunity areas and making them into something nicer than they are. We have to also consider that when that happens, you know, there are also people who are going to be moved out, that have lived in the same place their whole life, that don't have anywhere to go. And we as a community have to figure out how to help that population as well. And who has the tools to do that? You do. This group does. We're the ones with the tools to figure out how to continue to build and scale and grow more socially sustainable businesses together so that they can be more than just profitable. You know, they can be socially sustainable so that we can be helping each other build businesses, and then we can be helping those that are not trying to build businesses, that are trying to build their lives or to just survive. That's our responsibility with the privilege that we have, I think, and the tools that we have been given, even if we fought tooth and nail to be able to be here to learn these things. I have to be grateful that I had the opportunity to do it, because not a lot of people do. And now that I'm here, I hope that with everybody here, I hope that we can hold space and create this space here so that we can continue to promote these kinds of conversations, that we can talk about how we can make a difference, how we can use what we know that other people don't know to make a big difference and change the world. I think we can. I think this group, not just the ones of us on this call, but the ones of us that feel called to it here, we chose to be here for a reason. In this life, in this time, in this space, we chose to be here during this change, during the healing of generational trauma. So I really, really am grateful for every single person that wants to share how they're feeling and how the kinds of changes that we can bring about, how we can start having this conversation. I love it. I'm so grateful for you guys, and I appreciate all of the sharing and all of the love and all of the bravery here. Sure.
The thing that I'm loving from just this little idea I had to try to make people laugh a couple times a week during the middle of a global pandemic, me just being a little goofball, talk a little bit about stocks and throw some stuff about real estate and just chat with Emily. And it's everybody laughing at the fact that I can't start Zoom, or when I can't start Zoom, porn be showing up on my screen, which is now going viral amongst certain circles. I've really got to own that and make a sock puppet reenactment. But anyway, I love the fact that we have all found a community and we're participating in it. And I'm not perfect. And you know what? I'm glad that you're not either. So feel free to correct me in all of my political incorrectness. Because you know what? To quote Eva, show up messy, show up, be correct. You don't have to be politically correct, but be correct. And that goes by our intentions. And my intention is to do the best I can by each and every one of you. And I want to serve each and every one of you in the best way I possibly can. And I'm seeing that you guys are doing that back for each other. For those of you who are doing Real Estate Survivor, I love when I can finally catch up with all of your messages, because you guys like to blow it up, which is wonderful. Keep doing it. But like, I literally have all of yours like, who's doing what now? And I'm trying to get everything going. Oh, gotta send that email. Oh, gotta get that list out. Oh, Elise, we're doing it. I need help. It's like, it's so much more. And I feel it is the most rewarding thing I've ever done, because you guys have been such a joy to work with. And it's been such an honor to be part of your community. And that's why I want you guys to be very selective with who you let into this community. We need to build each other up, and we need to hold each other accountable. So if I say something stupid, which happens a lot, feel free to call me out. I don't mind it. I won't take it. Let's do this. Let's call each other out, but let's tell each other, I love you, but this was going on, right? I want to say, hey, you're fantastic. I appreciate you. Let's be clear about this, right? Call each other out in love. Yes, Robin. Oh, Michael, big old teddy bear. It's funny because this is Pride Month. And if you don't have, my grandma used to take me to marches for Native American rights. And she would be so upset because they didn't even get a day. And at that point in time, they were always trying to march during February, so she was a little territorial. That's changed. She's old. And when we got a month, Pride Month, it was a big deal. And today is June 1st, and the kids are in charge of our social media and our website. And we're trying to get them to think bigger and do more community work. So I send them to the grocery store so they can get eggs. That's why we live here. They can get like their eggs and milk, whatever, come back, they're making hamburgers. And Mark walks in. I'm trying to think, what am I going to tell you guys? How am I going to get this conversation started? And he comes to me, he says, some guy just called me fag in the grocery store while I was talking on the phone. And I was like, I'm sorry, do you want to talk about it? And he started telling me what the guy looked like, and it happens all the time. It happens all the time. Hatred happens all the time. And I don't want to take this away from the topic that we're on, but I'm hoping that we all understand that the topic is that we are human beings, and we need to listen to each other, and we need to try to be better. I'm going to try to be better. Help me. I'll help you if I can. By the way, if you ever ask me if someone's gay, my answer is blanket statement, well, I don't know unless I'm sleeping with him. So, and even then, it could go both ways. I don't know. He could just be really into me. I'm kind of cute. So just so you all have that out there. So there you go. Try to lighten it a little bit. Anybody have any final thoughts?
One of my favorite, oh, go on. Hello? Someone else? Okay. One of my favorite quotes, it's an ancient African proverb. It says, if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go together. And I thought it was really relevant for this talk as it has evolved. You know, we're building this community to go farther together, with all sorts of aspects, and introducing this conversation as well. And I thought that was kind of something that I wanted to just mention about that.
It was something I'm glad you mentioned that, because this talk today was like, it's always about real estate. But what I really want to get across, guys, is this is about us. These calls are about our community. Whether or not you're part of Real Estate Survivor, you're just joining, or you want to, like, this is about all of us. And I want us to grow and to actually have these relationships. Because I meant it when I said the next currency is your relationships. That's the biggest commodity we're going to have. And we're not all going to agree at all times. Right, Anita? She got laughed with us a lot. We don't always agree, but you know what? I can still love you. And I can still respect where you're coming from, because you matter. Anybody else have anything you want to say?
Yeah, I know we're growing as a community, and I'm part of this community. I respect everybody here. I hope I didn't offend anybody earlier with the way I spoke. I can be rough, and I know that. I just hope I didn't rub any the wrong way. And Jacob, I kind of feel like you pinned a political party on me. I am affiliated with neither.
Oh, I didn't even think of it, did I? Oh, I'm not. Okay. Well, I didn't mean to.
Oh, okay. No big deal. I just, people, they don't like one or the other. I don't want to be pinned as either. That's all.
I mean, people kind of assume I'm a Democrat. By the
People
way, I will tell everybody this, and you can certainly coin this phrase, guys. I am a Republicrat. I like to piss off everybody equally. Okay? No one's got it right. No one got all the answers, and they don't need to listen to, they can't listen to each other. So I am a certified Republican. I'm running for office. I'm going to be doing a grassroots campaign. There's a GoFundMe page on my Facebook. You can go donate it there. It's going to have a lot of glitter. I'm going to have RuPaul as my running mate. It's going to be fabulous. All right. So, yay. No, there we go. Gotta go. It's not happening. Anyway. So I think we're ending this on a higher note. Maybe? No? Well, Guys, you're amazing. Thank you so much. I'm going to make a couple last announcements, so you can all go. I can't believe this has all gone so long. So, but I felt it was important. So thank you for being here. For those of you who are interested in Investor Party, thank you guys for everybody who is here. And Real Estate Survivor, we are getting through it. It has been so much fun to work on. It feels like Elise and I are constantly like catching plates, and if we brought in Nelson, probably like, oh my God, what's going on here? Like, and I'll be reaching out to all of you for like, Stephanie brought me this wonderful girl who's here to help me with my, with nonprofits. Oh my God, I need to call her, by the way. Oh, that's something else. Anita's giving her expertise all the time. Like, this would not be going on without you guys. So thank you all so much. If you are new to Investor Party, if you just go to investorparty.com, you can actually sign up and start seeing what's going on for the public events. The Zoom calls are going to be starting to be held there with our invitations. All important information, like we're going to start doing product demonstrations here, guys. So what I really want to do is I want you guys to not make the mistake that I made when I started investing. And I just started buying all sorts of marketing software and trying all this stuff. And I was just throwing money out there, but I wasn't actually learning how to maximize it. And I wasted so much money. I'm still digging myself out of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be doing product demonstrations and product offerings that you guys can learn from. See what works best in your market. Do not feel the need, and hear this, everybody. If you decide, I mean, you're going to need to buy systems and softwares and products for your business regardless. Regardless, it's going to happen. I want you to pace yourself. In other words, if you don't have assets to protect right now, don't wait to get your asset protection set up to start investing. It don't matter. Don't waste your money on it. If you have a certain amount of capital, throw it into your marketing, because that's what's going to get the deals to come to you. That's going to help you grow. So we're going to be having things like PropStream. I've also got Listen Skip's one of our people coming on with as well. But this week we're going to PropStream on Thursday for Real Estate Survivor, doing something in depth, and Friday as well for everybody else here if you can't make Thursday. They're going to be coming and doing a product demonstration. For those of you who have RESS, it's the same product. So I want you to come and learn how to use your software. All right. So when you work with Anita, she'll be like, okay, get this done. You'll be able to do it. That's what she loves. We're going to do the same thing with REI Black Book in a couple of weeks. I'm not trying to I want you guys to take something and apply it, not overdo it. Like right now we're learning Podio and our community platform. That's enough. So by Friday, you should have the working knowledge. So when you have that, you're not overwhelmed. And I don't want anybody to feel rushed or pressured. That's not who I am, but I do want to offer you the tools that I know work, okay? If you have products that you like, let me know. Share that with me so I can research them too and see how they would integrate together and things like that. The goal here is, guys, that we are actually taking your systems and we are making them happen in the next 2 months so your business is automated. I don't want you stuck doing residential real estate because you don't know how else to do anything else. I want you building business systems in whatever asset class you're in, because that makes the biggest difference. Right, Anita? Gotta have the systems.
Systems will make you or break you. You can do a lot of things manual when you're first getting started, but if you don't start implementing systems right away, you will get overwhelmed really fast and you won't be able to scale.
That's so true. I really have no idea how I'm working Podio right now. I just don't have all of you there, all of you asking me how to make it work, and I'm like, I'm Googling this. Excuse me, 1 second, while I have everybody else. It's like, thank you, Grayson. This is fun. I used to use it, and then I stopped using it, and then they updated it. I don't know where I am anymore. So we're getting all this together, guys. Hopefully you're enjoying it. We have had, yes. So for those of you who want to do Investor Party, go ahead and go there if you're not a part of it. For those of you who are in Real Estate Survivor, I don't want you to invite anybody to the party yet. Okay, I'm going to keep this private and small. You are going to be inviting people, but here's the things I want you to consider. 1, who do you want to believe in you? Whose opinion matters? That's not a relative. No brothers, no sisters, no aunts, blah, blah, blah. I want someone that you want to do business with, who you'll have fun doing business with, and who plays well with others. okay? They either have to have, they're gonna have to have one of the 7 forms of wealth currency, which we're gonna be talking about on Thursday. And money is only one of them. So we will be talking about that. Let's see, so that being said, Anita, for Tribe Texas, do you have anything you want to add before we go on?
Make your calls. Make your calls. Communicate with each other in your group, in the group chat on Facebook. Guys, the more you stay connected, the more is going to happen. And here's the thing: is action breeds action. Even if one person's maybe taking some action one day and somebody else is having a really crap of a day, you sharing what you've done and sharing your experiences in a positive light might motivate somebody else to do something that's going to get them a deal. That's just it creates positive momentum. Mm-hmm. You got to create it, you got to keep it going and support each other and keep each other's momentum going too.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, and isn't it more fun doing this with other people, guys? Right? Like, honestly, you guys are cracking me up in some of your text messages. I don't know. And let me tell you, I had no idea some of you guys are such cheerleaders. It's wonderful. Leslie, oh, and I did try doing a Zoom call with Leslie today. She had 2 leads come from her calls. So I'm trying to get that up there, but then she had to leave for work, so it's not completed. But I will be posting that little bit up there so you guys see it. But again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just get on the phone. You guys are going to have your next list coming out to you Thursday. So have if you finish your current calls. And the next calls are my freshest lists that we pulled, that we paid for. The list you guys have now was older because I was getting used to doing the actual work, right? And you guys seem to be a lot more relaxed from it. So now it's going to be game time. But as you can see, you can still get deals in this list. It's going to be awesome when we get it closed. Elise, am I missing anything?
I think that's everything. Just, if you're not already on investorparty.com, make sure you go sign up because eventually, hopefully the next 1 or 2 calls, we're going to just be posting the Zoom link in Investor Party. So, follow up with everything there. It's easier there to me because I can notify you all at one time if I post something like that. So I'll try to make sure those are up in there. So just if you don't have access, go ahead and do it. I think most of our survivor people are already in there. But if not, let me know if you have any trouble. I think that's everything. We're here if you need us.
Leanne, I had you down. She's asked where is the list, and it's right on the homepage. So if you look here, I'll pull it up. So here's okay, home. So here's your Investor Party app, right? If you go down, it's the first thing we posted, right? Oh, look, there's the video that we have with Anita. We did so well, honey. We're so cute. She's like, what? Yeah, that's right. I did that right away. So if you go all the way down to the bottom, it's one of the first things that was posted by Elise. Let's see. Where to go? Investor Party. Where to go? Right here. So Charlotte Leads. So Elise, where you can look for her is right down there. I think you guys can see it. There we go. CharlotteLeads.xlsx. So that's where we're going to find it, Leanne. And you are numbers. Leanne is 251 through 300. Okay. Did everybody?
Let me add to that too. You guys, you only see things on your feed that are from the groups you're in. So that was posted specifically to the survivor group. So if you're in Investor Party and you're not in the survivor group, it actually says it's just tribe, and then there's tribes for each of your individual tribes as well. If you're not in those, go ahead and request permission, and I can let you into those tribes. But if you're not seeing it, it could be because you haven't joined in with your tribe yet.
And Melissa, you can see it on the website. It's the same thing, just scroll down, it's there. What we're trying to do, and this is because this is something that's gonna be bigger, guys, I'm trying to show you guys, if you do this, because season 2 is about you guys scaling. So I've got to do it first. So season 2 is going to be about you guys scaling your business model. And the idea is if you learn how to do this now on platforms like this, it'll make it easier and faster for you. So thank you guys for watching as I attempt to create business systems, being the tech genius that I pretend to be when I'm alone in the shower. I don't know. nothing else to say about that. Does anybody have any other questions about I think everybody in the room is actually part of Real Estate Survivor. If not, season 2 is coming up, by the way. It's going to be a different thing. You're going to see this. But this is 2 months, and we can do this 2 months first. And we're going to have a live event coming. I'm so excited. Oh yeah, oh yeah. We're all gonna get together again, guys. It's gonna be so much fun. It's gonna be a party. Every event I'm gonna have is gonna be a party. Hey. Okay, so that's about it. Any questions? No? Okay. Tomorrow,
Nope.
tomorrow Alex Arriaga is scripts are Nelson. Are you still here?
Yes, he is.
Oh, good. Nelson is actually helping us upload that, actually. That's something we're working on.
Yeah, I could do that.
Thank you.
I'll take the email from Grace and make it out to everyone.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're just gonna put it right in the investor party. We're just gonna put it right there, and we'll give it, and we'll just have everybody request access. We'll have that together. And then the last thing I wanted to do, oh yeah, tomorrow night is Tuesday. Now they've opened up the restaurant I was teaching dance at. So I will be having Elise and Alex run the training, and when I'll be in late. But I still want you guys in here. Thursday, we're gonna be going through a lot of recaps so far, making sure we're doing everything together. And we're gonna be learning about PropStream / RESS software. And then we'll be reinforcing it on Friday. Yeah, that's that. Okay, guys, I think that's everything. You guys are amazing human beings. I love you to death. Thank you for being my tribe. And I will talk to you soon. Be careful out there.
Goodbye, everyone.